Hi, this is Dr. Dave, and in this video we're going to do the next tech assignment, which is the third tech assignment, and let's recap where we've been. In the first technology assignment, you went ahead and you entered the data into columns A and columns B. You made a graph of that data, which was the cost. Then in the third column here, we divided the cost by the total number of units, and that gave us the data that you see here in column C. And that is what we graphed down here in our second graph in the first technology assignment. In technology assignment 2, we add a little bit more information to that in that we found a model for our cost function. Different members of your team may have found linear, quadratic, cubic, or exponential. But we found what the model looked like at our data points. That's what we see right here. So the red is the model, the function. The actual data points that were measured are what are the blue triangles here. We also took a look at what that function looked like overall. And for a linear function, the average cost started out high and then kind of leveled off. Depending on whether you used the linear, the quadratic, the cubic, or the exponential, it may not look exactly like this. So now let's move on to the next step. And the next step is for us to decide which one of these models for cost leads to the very best model for the average cost. Let me show you what it's going to look like. So we're going to add in column E some new information. And what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the percent error. So by what percent is the data off from the model? And then we're going to take its absolute value. And that's what we're going to put in column E. We're going to average those numbers to give us a numerical value that indicates by what percent on average we're missing the data points by with our model. You would hope that the very best model that you come up with would have the very lowest average there. So let me show you how to do this. So let's go over to our second technology assignment that we did last time, and we're simply going to add on to this. So I'm going to go ahead and right mouse click on the tab and say duplicate. And I'm going to rename that T3 and with your last name. So what I need to do is to put that percent error in here. So I'm going to start out and I'm going to calculate out the percent error. And finding percent error is pretty easy. It's a calculation. So in cell E2, I'm going to type equals. We'll start with the parentheses. We'll take the data value in C2 minus the function value, the theoretical value in D2, end the parentheses, and then divide by the theoretical value. So I'll just click on D2 again. Press enter, and that indicates that I'm below with the data on that first data point. Now, this is written as a decimal. To convert it over to a percent, I'll click on it and then press the percent button. And so the data point that's at 1,175 is 1.25% below the theoretical value. That's probably one of the ones that's right in here. Now, once I have that, I'll go ahead and stretch it down. And it automatically calculates all of those for me. Now, I could average these right now, but some of them are positive, some of them are negative. When I do an average, those are going to tend to cancel each other out. So I'm not just going to average the percent error. I'm actually going to start with the absolute value and take the average of that. So I'm going to go back to D2, and I'm going to modify this formula a little bit. I'm going to click in the formula. I'm going to type ABS parentheses. That represents absolute value. I'll put another parentheses at the end and then press enter. And you'll see that that negative disappeared. Now I'll select that and then drag it down again. And so now all of these are positive. So now let's calculate that average. So I'm going to put that down here. I'm going to type the word average in D19. And then I'll come down to the same row, but in the column with my percent error. And I should probably indicate, by the way, that I did absolute value up here on my percent error. And again, I'm going to wrap this, so I'll click on it, Format, Text Wrap, Wrap. And now let me calculate the average. So I'll type in equals, because it's got calculation. I'll type average in capital letters, parentheses. I'll click on cell E2 and then drag it down to E18 in the parentheses and press enter. So the average of all of these numbers above is 1%. So what this tells me is that if I go over right here, each one of these data values that's a blue diamond misses the corresponding red circle, which is the theoretical value, by 1%. Now, if you do this for the linear model, for the quadratic model, for the cubic and the exponential, the one that has the very lowest average there is probably going to be the best model of the average cost. And that's going to be the one that you're going to want to go forward with through the rest of your project. But each one of your team members needs to go in, calculate out that value, and then find who has the very lowest average absolute value of the percent error. Once you've done that, and the deadline passes for the tech assignment, I'll go in, take a look at your work, and give you some feedback on it.